Hi, everyone. You are listening to Bothering the Band podcast, and this is Adam Green, and I'm the guest today. Hey, how's it going?
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Hello, Adam. Welcome to Bothering the Band. My name is Ryan. This is Abby.
Hi.
We're so stoked to have you, man. We've been big fans of yours for most of our adult lives. So,
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Uh, where are you calling me from?
we're both in Florida, but we're both different parts of Florida.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, we're
Because
different
Florida in
parts.
itself is it's so crazy. It's like a country as a state.
Oh, yeah, with its own rules and lawlessness.
Yeah, yeah. It's like people are doing many different kinds of things in different parts.
Yeah, I mean, you got meth in the north. You got, anyway, uh,
You got people retire. You got like retirement people. You got like alligators. Disney World. Like a kind of like I don't know, like uh, I guess like a sort of version of Cuba. Um, you got all kinds of stuff, and it's a fascinating place.
It's the only state where the more north you go, the more southern it gets.
Oh wow, wow, yeah, right. Well, I could see. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. So, yeah, so I'm here in Brooklyn in my room.
Very cool. Very cool. I actually saw you in Brooklyn a million years ago on a stage.
Where was it?
It had to be either music hall or Warsaw, because one of those two.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense to me. I don't know if I played Warsaw. It probably was music hall.
Yeah, maybe those two were interchangeable when I was inebriated in my young 20s. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Anyways, I don't know if you dug into this, but we have some really dumb questions for you. We have some mutual friends. We love your all of your work, and
Thank you.
this will be unlike any interview you will ever do.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. What kind of questions are you thinking?
Well, here we go. I'm going to hit you with one.
Okay.
Icebreaker. What makes you boring?
What makes me boring?
Yeah, what's something that you do that's super boring?
I mean, I think the thing is like I think I'm a very average person. So
Average cabbage.
yeah, I mean, most things I do, you know, day to day are fairly boring. I mean, like I feel like I myself am like a boring person that, just wants to like eat some eggs and like, have some coffee or whatever, and then like feel like there's this other person named Adam Green that tells me that I have to do all this other stuff. And like I kind of work for this other guy and he is really, really crazy. He makes me do all kinds of stuff and I can't even believe it sometimes when I'm doing the stuff that he wants me to do.
Oh, that's a really cool way to put it.
Like I feel like I'll be like, yeah, I just want to just sit down and relax and like watch TV. But this guy Adam Green wants me to go up to the table and make a drawing, and like I don't even think it's going to be any good. Like, why is he making me do it? And then like I'm just like, okay, he wants me to get this shit out, and then I'm like start drawing and stuff, and I'm like, wow, this is great. This guy Adam Green is really good. Like, why did he? I got to do everything this guy says. Um, but it doesn't feel like me. I feel like me in my essence is just like a very average, plain person, and that I have a really crazy boss.
Man, that's a really good way to put it as an artist. I read an interview with you that you work on multiple things at the same time, and I'm very similar. And yeah, I'm gonna start blaming the boss.
Yeah. Yeah. What is it, the super ego or something? Or maybe it's
Yeah,
just an actual, different part of you. I mean, I hear like when people's brains, there's some cases of people who have like I guess their like central connector. I don't know what the cord is called, like the lobe that connects the cord that connects the two sides of the brain is severed, and then like their brains actually don't, their brains actually develop separate identities that don't interact with each other.
yeah,
So you have like, you know what I mean? So you can actually ask like the different brains different questions and they will give you different answers.
man, that's fascinating.
So yeah, so people are actually like a combination of multiple different things that are running the show.
Well, this is a perfect follow-up to that. Do you own a mop?
I do.
You
I
do?
mean, yeah, but I'm not much of a mopper. I mean, I'll try anything before I get the mop. Like I'll try
Oh, of
the
course.
towels and the mop is the last resort.
Um, so is it like a fancy like new age mop where it like does everything itself, or is it like old school janitor mop?
It's in between. It's got more of a spongy kind of thing. Yeah, it's not. No,
Okay.
it doesn't have like the cousin it hair.
Okay. That's funny.
But I used to use that kind of mop. My first job was I worked at a pizzeria and I was like a busboy basically. I also was the arcade attendant. They had an arcade in the back of the pizzeria, and I used that kind of mop to clean the floors and but I pretty much have been really lucky where I haven't had a job like that since I've been about, I don't know, 17 or 18 years old, since I started touring with music.
Oh, that's cool. I think we've all worked in a place where we had to use those mops.
Hmm.
Abby, do you own a mop?
Yes. I have no
Ah,
carpet in my house, so I have to have a mop.
I got no carpet either, but I don't have no mop.
You just what about if you threw up on the floor or something? Just towels?
I mean, I'm not really throwing up on the floor, but
What if
What
you
if you took a
spill
big dump
something?
on what if you took a big dump on the floor? What do you do?
oh yeah, if I when I do take a dump on the floor, it is yeah, I vacuum it up. I have the dump vacuum.
Yeah,
It's a wet vac.
a wet vac.
Oh man.
Well, those I mean I gotta say those what do you call it? What's that brand from Sweden? The really futuristic brand.
IKEA?
No, it's like they make like dustbusters and vacuums and stuff.
Dyson?
Dyson. Dyson, that's pretty good. I mean, like I wanted to endorse that product the first time I ever checked it out. Like I was like, wow, I want to like I mean I don't really do things like this, but I was like, I want to invest in this as a stock. Like this is a really good product. I didn't do it.
Yeah, I mean they're insanely expensive too.
Yeah.
It's like
It's expensive, but that really vacuums.
I know it really helps when I'm sucking up the poop. What'd you say?
Mhm. Yeah, the wet. I don't know if it's wet, but it's good.
It's
Um,
always wet.
I saw something on the internet the other day about how Dyson made all their money just with air because their two biggest products are vacuums and blow dryers. So they suck or they blow air,
right.
but they are
Oh, it's
worth
kind of like
so
Jeff
much
Koons, right?
money.
Because the artist Jeff Koons kind of works
Mhm.
with things that are sort of, like balloons and different
Yep.
things that are filled with air. So this is like
Yep.
the Jeff Koons of, and actually, yeah, I think that Jeff Koons displayed vacuums in display cases as if they were like ready-made art objects. So there's a lot to do with Dyson and Jeff Koons.
Oh, I love it.
We're getting so deep from a simple question of do you own a mop?
Yeah, my mop. You ever watch that movie UHF where Stanley
Oh yeah, of
Spadowski,
course.
right? My mop. Um,
Yes.
and people should really check out UHF because I think that they invented YouTube. I mean, because the UHF channel was YouTube basically, and the
Yeah.
shows Wheel of Fish or like whatever it is, like it just seems like kind of just basically like amateur TV that was, fun. It was basically YouTube, the channel that they were running.
Wheel of Fish just that's scratching me right where I itch.
Yeah, Weird Al is actually a strangely visionary artist, and he's also like this super American artist. He's sort of like a super
Yeah.
American original visionary. I guess, well, now I guess they made this biopic of him. So yeah, he's getting his due, but he's pretty heroic. And UHF is a gonzo masterpiece. It's what do you call those kind of movies? It is a screwball masterpiece.
Couldn't agree more. Did you see the Weird Al biopic? It's very good.
I didn't see it. I saw the trailer that inspired it, which I loved. The
Check it
original
out. I think
trailer.
you'll like it. I think you'll like it. It's very
I do want to
weird.
watch it. I want to watch it. Yeah.
It's not what you expect. It's definitely weird, and they take a lot of artistic liberties with his, of course, blessing. And I won't give too much away, but we watched it recently, and it's very good.
Yeah. I mean, I do want to watch it. There's been moments in my life where I've almost watched it. I just for some reason. I usually watch an older movie. I like a lot of older things.
So, what's the funniest way you've ever injured yourself?
Oh, come on. Uh, Silly, stupid ways. Performance injury, I was doing this concert in Italy that was like this. It was it was really weird. I don't know how I got booked at this kind of. It was like a company party or something. It was like the kind of thing where you agree to do it because they're going to pay you a lot of money, and they're just like, meet us at this weird venue. And I think it was a corporate party in Italy, and of course I'm trying to get, and the people who were there, didn't really care about my music, and I was trying to get them into it, and I thought, I would use an old trick of crowd surfing them, just to, just maybe to get their attention, or maybe it was like for my own pride or something. But I crowd surfed this one guy. Like, there's one guy that caught me. He was, and he was actually trying to be, uh, good. Like, he was trying to hold me up, but I was the only person on him, and he was a big guy, and he like hoisted me with his shoulder. He kind of like lifted up his shoulder, and it went into my rib cage, and I broke a rib. Um, just trying to be silly and like crowd surf one guy. But stuff like that happens. When I was a kid, I was ice skating, and I thought like, oh look, I can skate backwards. Like I couldn't even skate forwards, but I like wanted to show off I could skate backwards, and I fell down and broke my wrist. I broke my wrist. And the silliest one actually on stage was I was doing a karate chop in in Newcastle, England. This is not even that long ago, 2016. I was sort of doing some kind of dance move where I was like kind of chopping in the air, and I ended up hitting my hand on my knee. Like, I hit my hand on my knee bone so hard that I broke my hand.
Oh, that's perfect.
And then I had to finish the concert, and like, I almost had to like cut the rings off my finger because my fingers were like getting all swollen like sausages. Like, you need to like, get these rings off. Um, and then I went to a hospital in Hull, in England, which was amazing because like at the end of the whole thing, and I mean, this is actually just wake up call for Americans. At the end of the thing, I was like, thank you so much for like, casting my hand and everything, x-raying me. How much do I owe you? And the people looked at me like, what do you mean? You couldn't pay for that. It's just like, you're here in the hospital. Like, it's just free. Like, so I was just like, oh, thanks. So like they looked at me like I was crazy, that I thought maybe I'd have to pay for them fixing my broken bone, in England, which is kind of amazing.
I love that you're like you have the cast on. So it's like, how do you hurt yourself? You're like, I karate chop my own
Karate chop
bones.
my own body. And then people said, oh, you're getting old. You're getting old. And then I had a freak out in my mind, like, oh, maybe my bone density is bad. Like, maybe I'm withering in my old age. Like, I should probably take more calcium, or like, what's going on? Like, my bone is breaking on my own body, or it was a kind of like it was definitely a reckoning with myself. But I think I'm fine. I haven't broken anything since.
We're talking osteoporosis with Adam Green.
Yeah, yep.
Okay. Well, if you had to arm wrestle, would you rather arm wrestle Adam Sandler or Adam Duritz?
I guess Adam Sandler, because I guess I was kind of wanting to meet him.
Yeah. Okay. Who do you think you would win? Who do you think you could beat?
I don't know. They both seem like they'd be about the same, but I don't know how much they've been working out lately. They both seem to me like they don't seem like, one doesn't obviously seem like they would be stronger.
Yeah, that's definitely why we picked those two, not
But
any other
I
reason.
think I would lose because I feel to not be strong in those particular areas. Like, I feel like I have a sense of what I'm good at, and arm wrestling is not one of the things I'm good at.
Okay. So would you rather kiss Seth Green, Brian Austin Green, Tom Green, or Al Green?
Seth Green. He's my friend, so it wouldn't be as weird.
Oh, okay, cool. As you can see, we have, Pulitzer Prize winning questions, journalistic questions. This is the show, and we're.
Well, I was going to say, Seth Green actually once took me to a party where there was 2 other Adam Greens, and then took a picture of me with 3 Adam Greens. So, and he wasn't, and him as Seth Green wasn't even in the picture. So he was, he wasn't even necessary. So it was 3 Adam Greens and a Seth Green in like 10 square feet.
That plays into your, multiple Adam Greens in terms of work and creativity.
Oh yeah, right. Multiplicity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am kind of the Michael Keaton of indie rock.
Well, got to write that down. Love Michael Keaton.
Yeah, I know. Every time he has a new thing out, you're like, Michael Keaton's back. It's like it's big. I remember when I saw the Mothman prophecies or whatever. Uh, I think he's in that. I think that was a Michael Keaton is back moment.
Yeah, there are a few. There's the Birdman.
Oh yeah, Birdman. Yeah, exactly. You keep on. Except I got to tell you guys, with Birdman is one of those things where I watched that movie without any context, and I thought it was cool. I definitely didn't understand it to be a really good movie, and I was like really surprised when people were like, "Oh, that won like the best movie of the year," and I had like no sense that it was like one of the best movies of the year. It just was like another movie I saw. It could have been like it felt to me just like a normal, like pretty good movie. Like I didn't have any sense that it was a great movie at all. I had no sense that it could ever be like considered to be someone's favorite movie or a great movie.
Yeah, that's how I felt about the Green Book, which won a few years ago.
I mean, I guess it's whatever. I mean, no offense to it because it was fine. It was a totally good movie. It was like I was surprised. Like I wouldn't have even thought, oh, that would be that's like an award-winning film. Like I didn't understand that was by. I actually didn't understand it was by a famous director and people were looking at it that way. But I did appreciate that Michael Keaton was back, and that was cool.
Well, fun fact, if I don't know if you know this, but he took a hiatus from acting. This will make you love him more to be a dad. He took 10 years off to be a dad. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
That is
That
cool.
is cool. I mean, I just feel like if something is going to be great, they could put great parts in it. They could do, if something is great, you can do great writing and have great parts. It doesn't just have to be great without that stuff. Um, but okay, so what were you saying?
I was saying you go into your fridge, you get a pack, you have a unopened pack of raspberries.
Right.
You open it up, one has mold in it. Do you throw the whole thing out or you throw the one out?
You obviously don't throw the whole thing out. No. I mean, yeah, you look around for the moldy ones and you throw them out. And there's other ones that aren't moldy. You don't throw them out. Maybe you give it a wash or something. But no, I don't think you do. Isn't that like, is that even opinion or do people think it's not right is it not safe?
I don't know. I was just curious.
I mean, because even if it's part of cheese is moldy or something, if the rest of the cheese is moldy, I think you can cut off the moldy part and just keep the cheese.
I want to agree with you, but I know there are some people that won't agree with you. My daughter eats a shit ton of raspberries, and so I do the thing where I don't ever tell her about it. I just throw the one out or the two or three out, and then
I mean, yeah, I feel like if I'm noticing there's like a lot moldy, then like maybe the thing's gross. But if there's just like one or something,
yeah, if it's just starting,
yeah, just starting, you throw it out. You can wash the rest.
moldy raspberries. You
All
see
right,
where
I'm
where
glad
we're
we got
going
it. We're
here.
on the same page about that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine where you go next.
Well, what's the last poetry you read?
I read a poem. I did I wrote a poem, epic poem called Carnival Machine that came out a few months ago, and I read it at the book release. I read a few chapters of it. One was about an anthropomorphic vending machine that like you kneel in front of, and it's sort of I don't know, kind of like violates you, and then behind there is sort of like an anthropomorphic storefront where you like have sex with a storefront. So it's kind of like you're making love with a store and all of its parts. And then the last part was like a tomb behind that, and like you kind of wander through a tomb where like all these creatures are being anesthetized, and then kind of watch your own brain seams kind of like unspool in the hall of tombs. So it's sort of a poem about vending machines and death and sex.
That sounds amazing.
Where was where was the book release party or the
It was at Printed Matter in St. Mark's Place. And so, yes, it's a poem called Carnival Machine. And so, yeah, it's my second epic poem. I wrote one called Medieval 1000 Years of Darkness, which came out. And there's actually a film of me reading it. It's sort of an animated film by the animator Tom Bain. And you can download, or you can watch that on YouTube. Just type Medieval 1000 Years of Dark Ages, Adam Green. And there's actually like a full like 45-minute film with an animated scroll with like animated pictures, and I read the whole poem, and there's great music that my band made for it. So sort of like a medieval futuristic experience.
Hey, Abby, I don't think anyone could be more perfect for our like personal sensibilities and what we gravitate towards than the multiple versions of Adam Green we have here.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thanks. You know, for that one, I wanted to make it sort of like a medieval illuminated manuscript, and it has the sort of motifs of like medieval history going in sort of cycles, and you actually kind of each little section of the poem reflects an age of the Middle Ages until it gets from like the collapse of the Roman Empire all the way to the Renaissance.
Man, I watched your Aladdin film recently.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
And I couldn't take my eyes off of it. I mean, it's visually stunning. It's irreverent. It's funny. It's clever. I How long did the sets take?
Oh yeah, the sets were really long. I mean, I think maybe for people that don't understand about the movie, it's basically like it's filmed inside of handmade sets that are like giant paper mache rooms that we made out of paper mache and cardboard and paint. And and the effect is that the actors appear to be like in a cartoon because they're completely in this world of craft around them. And it was on a very large scale, so we had a huge warehouse, and we had to build about 30 rooms that people were in, and hand painted costumes and everything. They look like they're inside of a cartoon, but it took us maybe over 4 months to build it. I had a team.
Wow.
I had a team. I mean, and I painted all the lines of it.
Wow.
So it was a lot of painting on my part, and then I had this huge team that helped me to color it all in, and then also Toby Goodshank, who is my bandmate in the Moldy Peaches, he was the prop master, and which means he like kind of led the charge of building, I think, over 500 paper mache props, like including tables and chairs and couches and Ferraris and spoons and plates. I mean, like we had made of one of everything, for this for this movie, which by the way, people can watch on YouTube. You can go to Adam Green's Aladdin, and you can find the full movie on YouTube. But basically, like, yeah. So and also it stars like uh, great actors, Macaulay Culkin, Natasha Lyonne, Alia Shawkat, Jack Dishel, uh, uh, also Bip Ling,
Yeah.
French, and the genie is played by the great artist Francesco Clemente.
Well, I have this further down, but I have to interrupt. How the hell do you get Francesco Clemente? Like, how do you just text him? Like, how does
Well,
that
okay, so
work?
basically, okay, so Francesco Clemente, I did not know him. I mean, I was a big fan, and he taught. I mean, just looking at his drawings when I was growing up taught me about how to draw. Um, but yeah, so I mean, I want the idea was the lamp is going to be a 3D printer, but it's going to be represented by a person.
Yeah.
So the genie is sort of the kind of the concierge or interface of the lamp. And yeah, so I was looking for somebody, and I had the script done, and I had made a whole, what do they call it? Like, I don't know if they call it like a lookbook or something. I made a storyboard, I drew it.
Yeah.
And basically, so my friend Alia Shawkat, who is in the film, she knew Clemente, like she was friends with him,
Wow.
and she suggested him. I was like, oh, I really want someone with gravity to be the genie, and I knew I wanted to be played by like a legend, and I didn't know what legend, and he was perfect. So, but I didn't think I could get him to do it. But she sent me to his studio, which was in Soho. Um, and it was everything. Like, I mean, I got there, it was like an elevator. His studio was everything that you would think like a legendary 80s, painter would be. Like, it just massive studio with like high ceilings and giant paintings were like all incredible. Like, smells like oil paint. Like, and when the door opened, he greeted me, and he was like wearing some kind of like, kimono with like he's got these big eyes, like just sort of
Hmm.
piercing. He's just like all eyes and like little robe. And I was super intimidated. Um, and he basically just took me over, and he sat me on a couch, and me and him were on the couch, and I started reading him stuff, and he was like, "Well, what lines would I say?" And I just started like reading him his lines, and he laughed. He laughed at them, and he was like, that's great, wow. And I was like, okay, cool. So I just kept on reading his lines, and he was like, yeah, like he was like really thought the lines were cool that he was gonna say. And then I showed him just all the drawings, and I had drawn out every scene. I showed him some examples of how the paper mache looks. And basically, like, in my head, I was like, I got to get out of here because you don't want to stay too long, like
Yeah.
overstay your welcome. So I was like, okay, well, thanks, good. Let me know if you ever want to talk more about it. And I got in the elevator, and as the elevator door was closing, he was like, I will be your genie.
Oh my God.
Oh,
So that was it. Just like, he's the man. And he was the coolest person. Like, it was just insane. He would like come to the set and like hang out with everyone, just like, you know, made friends with like everyone was building, and just like, just he just really was. It was like kind of a community project, So he just sort of like like hung out with everyone for the whole, for every day that he was involved in the shoot. And he was great vibes. So,
I
and
will be your genie.
everyone was so excited that he was there. So yeah, it was really neat. I can't I don't it doesn't even seem real that Francesco Clemente was the genie in my movie, but it's true.
Yeah, it's bananas. That's so cool, man. He was also in Good Will Hunting. I was on
Right. Yeah.
recently, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh shit, this is all coming together.
Yeah. He's, I guess it's cool. I guess he just does stuff that he wants to do.
Yeah, I mean that's the dream. Essentially, you're doing it too, though, man.
Thanks.
Here's a New York question for you. What is Mount Kisco like from the front? I've only
You
ever
see the
seen it
back
from the back.
from the train station?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Mount Kisco is a small town, and when you get out of the train station, and I haven't been there for a long time, my parents left Mount Kisco when I was 17 years old. So
Hmm.
I've gone back a few times, but there's basically, there's like two kind of main streets, and they have shops and things. And like, I don't exactly know. When I was a kid, we had a record store, which was great because, me and Kimia both worked there. Really, Kimia more worked there, and I just sort of hung out.
Yeah.
But Kimmy and my Moldy Peach is a bandmate. So so we had a record store, like a really cool one, and then we had like a comic book shop and some kind of funny things, just some delis and whatever. I don't know, stores that sold like cigars and coffee and stuff. Nothing too crazy. Uh, I think uh, there was a Blockbuster Video, and there's a little mall that's really dinky and not never was really that great. Um, but yeah, and then there's a statue of a Native American chief called Chief Kisco. Apparently, is a composite chief who's like not even a real historical chief, but like sort of a dream version of composite chiefs of like Native American chiefs that could have been there. It's also kind of like a town that has a history going, even a like a whatever USA history going back to the Civil War. I mean, the street I grew up in, the house I was actually first lived in was from the Revolutionary War time.
Whoa.
So and they have lots of stone roads and horses, and then when you get into the town, it's just a real small town, suburban kind of thing. Uh, it's a nice place to grow up. Uh, there was an art center where they had an open mic. Me and Kimia first kind of met there at this poetry reading. Because actually the poetry reading was set up by middle school girls from my middle school, and I played guitar there. I played songs. I was probably 12 years old. One day Kimia came with her friend. They were a lot older. They'd just come back from like Evergreen College, so they were, I don't know, probably like 18 or 19 years old, 20 years old. And they came into the poetry reading, and we were like, who are these grown-ups at the poetry reading? And they read some poems. And that's first when I met Kimia. I remember when I went into the record store where she was working later, she was like, "Hey, aren't you that kid from the open mic?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." And that's how we met. You know, we didn't really meet the first time we met.
Man, that's cool. I've only, like I said, if for anyone listening who doesn't know what we're talking about, Mount Kisco, I only ever saw it on the Metro North,
Yeah,
like
it's a
one
small
side.
town.
Yeah, it's small.
Yeah, if you get in Grand Central and you take the train, from Grand Central, you can probably get to Mount Kisco in like maybe 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a few after White Plains, a few stops after White Plains.
Yeah.
But it's a nice place to grow up, and but I haven't been back.
This just hit me. We talked about your Aladdin film. Did you ever see the Aladdin Will Smith film?
I didn't. I wanted to. I just didn't. That was right around when I had I think I was like right when when I had my first. I'm a father now. I have two girls, and I think when they were young, like it was hard to get out see
Oh, of
anything.
course. Yeah,
I heard that. I think at the time I heard that movie is too scary for like however old my kids were at the time. So, plus also I gotta say it's like I kind of feel like my desire for Aladdin. It's like I love the Disney Aladdin, and then I loved reading the original one, like the Arabian Nights version. But yeah, I mean, aside from that, I haven't I think I have like a insatiable thing for Aladdin. I mean, if anything, I think I just like the idea of using it as a way to really like kind of just come up with a myth that I could sort of, push my own feelings and my own life through. You know what I mean? So I think like in the sense, I take the Aladdin myth and then, I basically take my interior landscape and I sort of translate it through the myth until it comes out in the shape of my Aladdin, where I change basically everything about it to make it correspond to my own soul or something, my own relationships and my own feelings, and so in that way, it's like, I don't know. It's not really like, you know, uh, yeah, you know what I mean? It's not really like,
I do. It's not canon.
yeah, well, I mean, like also, I loved the Ninja Turtles when I was growing up, and then I ended up making a graphic novel called Subcultural Karate Turtles.
Yeah.
And it was telling a story about my feelings about subcultural artists through the lens of the Ninja Turtles, and in the case of my Ninja Turtles were, instead of the Renaissance artists like Raphael, Leonardo, Michelangelo, mine were subcultural artists. So my Ninja Turtles were like Jodorowsky and Harry Smith and Patti Smith and Basquiat, and my Master Splinter was like William S. Burroughs. So it was sort of like it was telling the story of subculture as I saw it, in a way almost like a book about cultural theory, but disguised as a Ninja Turtles book. So when people said, I'm going to buy your Ninja Turtles book for my kid, and I was like, is your kid into cultural theory?
Is your kid into William S. Burroughs?
Yeah, is your kid into Burroughs? So yeah, so it's I think it's gonna be like a little bit deceiving because I feel like I make these movies about these things like Aladdin and subcultural karate turtles, and it's like they're actually almost nearly X-rated. you know, they're not. I mean, in The Wrong Ferrari, I guess, which is X-rated, right? So, I mean, yeah, I mean, basically, yeah. So it's not for children. My work.
I think it'd be so funny. Like Abby, do this with like your sister's kids, where you're like, listen, we're gonna watch Aladdin, and then just put on Adam Green's Aladdin and pretend, and just like when your sister or your mom is like, what is this? Be like, what? It's Aladdin.
I feel like kids do like how it looks. I mean, like
Yeah, of course.
I think if you put on my Aladdin, you will have the kids enjoying it until like the parents will probably feel like they have to turn it off because something will be said, and then at that point it'll be turned off.
Oh yeah, the kids will be into it. Visually, the kids will be glued.
Yeah, I think like my kids like it. Like they watch the trailer or something, they're like, "Oh, this is really." I mean, I feel like they want to watch the Aladdin movie someday, more than probably anything I did. Um, so yeah, so it is like a very technicolor, spectacular looking thing that like would appeal to kids. And to be fair, it's in the form of like those sort of things. I mean, originally I was inspired by the artist Jean Dubuffet sculptures, which look like drawings and
Yeah.
are heavy on the black lines. But it also it relates to Pee Wee's Playhouse. It relates
Yeah.
to Red Grooms and lots of things that appeal to kids. The art, but it's kind of like my own metaverse or something. It's kind of, I mean, I feel like it was something I was sort of thinking about. And I feel like now in retrospect, you might say it's sort of a metaverse, but at the time, I guess it was before people really like were throwing around that term, even though I'm sure the term is from the 90s, but I feel like people wasn't in the common lexicon. And I certainly didn't think of it as a metaverse. If anything, I maybe thought of the world that my Aladdin is in as being like a video game world.
That's a good way to put it. I dig that.
But I think that William S. Burroughs Interzone is also a video game world. You know,
Yeah.
I think that I think that there's been metaverses for a long time. You know, I mean, in literature. You know, I mean, even Alice in Wonderland, or you know, or Arthur Rimbaud's Illuminations, or you know, Kafka's kind of world in the trial seems to me like to be a metaverse.
Oh, I'm so happy you brought up Kafka, because your Wikipedia says your great grandmother was engaged to him.
Yeah, my great grandmother was engaged to Kafka.
That's
And
that's wild.
there's hundreds of letters. The book, you can read their letters, letters to Felice. It's a book of the letters that Kafka wrote to my great grandmother. You know, it's I don't know if you could read some of them. I mean, I don't even read all of them. It's quite a long book. You know, you see how he originally, when he wrote her, he kind of, you know, kind of tricked her a little bit. Like he sort of, his early sort of seduction of her, he sort of like tricked her into having a correspondence with him. And I think he just enjoyed the correspondence more than he like, you know, actually seeing each other, you know?
Yeah, that's wild. That's
Seems
crazy.
like, yeah, it's more just, it's really a lot about the writing. They were living on, with between a direct train line between Prague and I guess where she was, Hamburg or Berlin or something. There's anyway, apparently they were able to deliver next day mail to each other. So that's why their letters are so frequent.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy shit.
Yeah.
Okay. So, would you rather be a dragon or own a dragon? Such a
Huh.
dumb follow.
I'd probably rather own one, you know. I like being me. Uh, but but yeah, it's actually yeah, I don't know. Dragons are kind of weird. It's like they're so different. What kind of dragon? You know, is a nice dragon. You know, it's like one of these kind of. I was just talking with somebody about how Joseph Campbell in his, I think it was his Heroes with a Thousand Faces, like talks about how like dragons are like, you know, they want either to hoard a bunch of treasure or like capture a princess or like just all these things that has like no use for. Like so it's kind of like this sort of tyrant that hoards all this stuff that's like for no reason basically and just um so in that sense that sounds kind of pretty bad and meaningless. Like I wouldn't want to like own an animal that like just wanted to like control and be a tyrant about a bunch of stuff it didn't need. Doesn't sound fun. But you know, a happy dragon or like Puff sounds like a cool dragon to be friends with.
Yeah, or Stuff, which is the Orlando Magic's mascot, Stuff the Magic. So,
Stuff the magic dragon. Yeah, you know, or even just, you know, something like so many different kinds of dragons. Yeah, I don't know. Yes, that sounds cool. I'll own one, but a good one.
thank you for answering that supremely dumb question with like a very heartfelt, thoughtful answer.
Oh, thank you.
That's so, oh, this is why we love it. Okay. If you could learn anything new right now in an instant, what would you want to learn?
Learn anything new. Um, whoa. Um, I mean, maybe like how to sort of make and like code like kind of metaversy worlds and like do things like that, like how to, you know, to make a movie with an AI because I've always just I feel like a lot of the ideas I've had over the years, like I feel like at some point I could probably get an AI to do them and it would be fun, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them I'm like, okay, well, you know, for example, like me and my friend Corey Kennedy, we wrote a script based on Macaulay Culkin's book Junior a while back that never got made, and I was thinking, wow, like we could maybe just someday we'll just like get an AI to make this movie, like you know, it seems kind of like that would be cool. You know, and I always sort of feel like because I'm not that technical, you know, I'm like I don't even really play guitar particularly well, and uh you know, I usually just basically have like you know a bunch of ideas that are sort of like in the form of like on paper, you know, or on like a voice note, and I'm just trying to translate that to like really skilled technicians that are really good, and because of that, I feel like it would be nice to have like some of these skills. Like it would be nice to actually be able to play all these ideas myself, or but I do kind of enjoy the collaborative element. So I don't know. Um, you know, even as I said, making a movie with AI, like I probably it would be kind of fun to like team up with an AI expert and and make that happen, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so I don't know, you know, and it's almost like just the whole like learning part of life is actually like the part of that's like that is in itself, right? That's like that's the trip of life. Like that is the enjoyable part. Like that is like if you learn something really fast and don't have the experience of learning it, is you're like kind of actually depriving yourself of life. You know, the actual fun part of learning something, which is actually like in itself a soul nurturing time for yourself.
Well, there's no wrong answer on bothering the band. However, that is the right answer.
Hmm. Oh, thank you.
Okay, what's your go-to Chinese food order?
Uh, it depends what kind of Chinese restaurant. You know, like a classic Chinese restaurant. You know, it's funny. You know, it's funny because I I always had wondered what chop suey was. You know, I mean, it's sort of I feel like it's sort of like in the popular collective imagination of Chinese food, but like it's not usually offered to you. So I found a place on Mott Street in New York Chinatown that still serves it, and I ordered like a pork chop suey. It was pretty good. I liked it. I mean, I would order it again. I don't know if it's like my favorite thing.
What is it?
It's sort of like I mean, it's kind of like it's like sort of got a little bit of gravy on it, but it's not really like with noodles. It's more like instead of noodles, there's like kind of more like sprouts or celeries and things like that, like vegetables that are sort of like playing the role of what noodles might be doing. Um, so kind of like that, you know. So it's not like so heavy. It's you know it was light. You know, it was good. I liked it. It was. I mean, it had that little bit of like that kind of thick gravy that's you know like a little gelatinous and like you know you kind of have to like not think about it too much. Um, but you know, and I would say I love to order Peking duck because it's just so cool. Like I love
Yeah.
like it's so good. But then last time I ordered, honestly, like because there's actually a place in my neighborhood that opened up a serve Peking duck, and it gave me quite a stomach bug, like or something. I mean, like I'm not usually I'm not like that. I mean, like I basically like you know I would say like 3 times in my life I felt like something kind of made me feel like I was getting sick, like from eating it, because usually it doesn't happen, but it just recently happened with this Peking duck. You like within an hour of eating it, like I was on the toilet, like you know, pooping water. Um,
Get that mop.
yep. So yeah, so that wasn't good. But you know, but other than that, I don't know. I really like those really like thin rice noodles, like My Fun. I think are really tasty.
Mm-hmm.
Love My Fun. I love. There's actually a place on Mott that I or on Doyers that I go to that has an amazing egg roll. It's called it's called Numwa Tea Parlor. The egg roll there is really really good.
I actually know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's a really good one. And then
Yeah.
you know, and I like hot and sour soup.
Who doesn't?
I love it. It's that you know, I love the complexity. I mean, I love the push and pull. You know, I love the yin and yang of the hot and sour, or whatever you want to call it. Um, you know, it's a trick that never gets old. And I'm getting more into sour candy too as I'm getting older. I like a sour candy.
Do you like salty chocolate? Like that
Oh
stuff?
yeah, yeah, I love that. Love salty chocolate.
Again, all of this plays back into your like dual personality thing. And yeah, man. Who'd have thunk we would have had a theme for this episode?
Yep. Yeah, it's like you know, it's the cognitive dissonance. You know,
Yeah.
it's great pleasure.
Okay, so this is a dumb logistical question. Moping in style.
Yeah.
Do you have to like sign off on a tribute record about yourself? Like, how does that
You
work?
know, honestly, you don't. That's actually one of the funniest things about it is like in actuality, I have no contract with this label over this. Like, I mean, you know, I mean, I have they put out some other stuff of mine, like they've reissued other things. But yeah, for this record, Mopey in Style, which is a tribute record with other artists covering my songs, I have no deal with them because I'm not on it. Um, so yeah, so they've had to have a deal with everyone else that's on it, and I've had to be the middle person, you know, kind of first of all, just basically encouraging my friends to do the cover versions, and also getting them the you know the paperwork and stuff.
Wow, this is the stuff I personally love. It's like the Francesco Clemente, like the logistics of how, like, okay, you have a tribute record about yourself, like
Right.
what does
Yeah,
that mean?
like the label Capitan came to me with this idea for a tribute record. But but it actually it actually evokes for me the fairy tale of a stone soup. Have you ever heard stone soup?
No.
It's like a children's story, and it's the tale is basically that like there's some travelers and they're really hungry, and one of them says to the other, "I know how to make a really great soup from a stone. It's called stone soup. We're just going to boil up the stone. It's going to be absolutely delicious." And they're really hungry, and the other guy's like, "Sure, let's do it." But then the person who's with him says, what would make stone soup is amazing on its own, but what makes it even better is if it has carrots. And then the guy's like, "Oh, well, I have some carrots." Like, well, maybe we should add them. It's like, okay. They add the carrots, and one by one, the you know, the other person, the trickster, keeps on encouraging that person to add other ingredients until the soup is like filled with chicken and rice and it's completely delicious. Um, so basically, I felt like that this was a bit like Stone Soup because Capitan came to me saying, "We want you to have a tribute album. Are you into that?" Sure, yeah, of course. Like everyone wants to have a tribute album if if it's possible. That sounds great. But who would be on it? And then I was like, I don't know, probably old friends like Ben Queller or Devendra Banhart or
Can you tell Devendra to do this pod? I feel like he would vibe out. Similar to you.
okay, I'll recommend it. But yeah, so basically, yeah, so I basically listed off a few people, and then they were like, "Well, that would be great," and I was like, "Yeah," and they were like, "Well, do you want us to email them?" And I was like, I don't think that they would want you to email them." I was like, I just don't feel like that would go down that well. And they were like, "Well, do you want to do it?" And I was like, okay, I'll email them. So then and I was like, "Hey, so do you guys want to do it?" Yes, they said yes. Great. Okay. And they were like, "Well, when will they get it done?" And then I'd be like, "Okay, Devendra, when will you get it done?" It was just it was like I interfaced with like 25 of my friends. Um, but it was nice actually being in contact with all these great artists, great songwriters. I mean, the truth is that I mean, if you can just think about the people on this, like Regina Spektor and Jack Dishel, like Rodrigo Amarante, Sean Ono Lennon, and as we said, Devendra, Father John Misty, the Libertines, Joanna Sternberg, Cutworms, like the Lemon Twigs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the Lemon Heads, Lou Barlow. I mean, it's like it's amazing heroic people are on this compilation. So it's basically pretty much like my favorite singers, my favorite musicians performing my songs. So
That's wild.
it's pretty sick, and I honestly do believe that the people on the compilation are some of the best songwriters that are alive right now.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. You said the Lemonheads too. I had my Lemonheads phase, and
Oh
they were
yeah, yeah.
everything to me for a chunk.
I mean, also you feel like I grew up with like someone like Ben Lee, who
Yeah.
is the reason why I probably started making my own records because of his stuff with Noise Addict. Um, it's just like and also my friend Turner Cody, who actually helped me to organize it. I mean, he sort of curated it with me, and he worked with the label. He's also on the label. I mean, it was originally his label when I met them. I mean, they're sort of they work with him, so he interfaced with it. And so yeah, Turner Cody, who's to me also written some of the best songs in the English language, and Jeffrey Lewis. So yeah,
Yeah.
different peers from anti-folk. Just kind of spans all kinds of different stuff. The Cribs from the UK, who I toured with, Kip Malone from TV on the Radio. But really, the thing is, the record is about friendship. Because these are, the story is most of these people have been a lifelong friend of mine, and this is just sort of like them. I think we've kind of inspired each other over the years, and this is just like a cool way where they can like, kind of tip their hat and kind of like kind of I guess kind of honor me with them singing one of my songs.
It's very cool, man. It's a very unique experience to have like your some like idols and friends.
Yeah.
Do you like recreate your art?
I know, because it doesn't sound like me. It doesn't sound like them. I mean, it sounds like in between me and them ultimately. Like it's funny to see the skeleton of the song get kind of reshaped by the interpretation of them. In a way, like, I think because I'm a subcultural artist, like I'm not mainstream. I was never really going to have like my greatest hits. It wasn't in the cards. So this is sort of taking the place of like a best of greatest hits in a way, kind of these artists are kind of enacting a canon for me. Like I have a canon
Mm-hmm.
now, because of their endorsement of it. This is like they made a version of a canon of mine through this collection, which is sort of like a best of.
It's beautiful and brilliant, man.
Thank you.
It's very cool. The record's great too, like top to bottom. Um, everyone go listen to Moping in Style. It's
Oh,
so good.
please.
It's so good.
Streaming, we're having some problem with Apple Music, or it's like they blocked it the day of release. I think there was some kind of confusion about it. I guess it's a lot of artists in one place.
Yeah,
So
that's weird.
my label's like, I think, talking to them about how to get them to post it. But everywhere else besides Apple Music, you can listen to it, Spotify and stuff. And if you can't, if you don't have, you can also listen to it on YouTube. So I feel like anyone could listen to it without like subscribing to a service. So, I feel like just listen to it on YouTube. I think there's a playlist. It's just 26 songs on a playlist.
It's very good. Go listen to it.
Yeah, Moping in Style, a tribute to Adam Green.
Adam, do you follow us on Instagram?
I didn't know actually what it was that we were doing.
Oh, well, it's bothering the band. Everyone also go follow Average Cabbage. Not that you need it, but
Average Cabbage at Instagram.
yeah, average. That's Adam's. Ours is bothering the band, but follow Adam's because, like we were talking about with Aladdin, and just anyone who's listening right now, if you're an artist and you want to see like an unapologetic just pursuit, Adam's your guy, and that's coming from an artist and myself.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I try to set a good example for other artists.
Well, you're doing great, man.
Thanks.
You're doing great. This is a huge episode for us, and we're so appreciative. We have a very important, two very important questions for you, though,
Yes.
to round this out. One, what song of yours or from the tribute album do you want us to end this episode with?
I really, one thing I thought was really cool, was, Frankie Cosmos did a version of Secret Tongues that I thought is so great because it's sort of like a song that I wrote when I was 15 years old, and I never was super confident delivering it. Like I think I've recorded it twice, but I don't think I've ever really quite gotten it. So when I heard her version, with all of her like maturity and experience and like grace put into this recording, I was like, wow, this to me was like the best version of the song Secret Tongues, like better than mine. So that, and Ben Queller's version of Her Father and Her is amazing. Like he took like that ballad, which was kind of like a spoken kind of story ballad, and he made it into this like super dramatic, like a dynamic, like, uh tale that sort of, but it's sort of it's almost like it has this huge build, and it's almost like a murder ballad now. So yeah, so either Ben Queller's Her Father and Her, Frankie Cosmos, Secret Tongues, those are great, or anything else from the compilation you want to play. So this just came to mind right away.
That's great. Thank you.
Or I love Cut Worm's version of Cigarette Burns Forever. Like I think that's one of my best songs. So it was cool to have someone do it really well. Like I feel like his version is almost sounds like a road trip. Like it makes me feel like I'm on a road trip, and like I'm in the car, like driving on the highway, like during the day kind of, and just watching like the fields go by or something.
Yeah.
But to me that song is like a lot. I don't know. I think it's funny because I probably punished him like at a party once because he after he covered it, I went on, told him about like what I thought the song meant, and like went on for like 20 minutes. So that was good. Try to figure it out. We also had I think we had me and Cutworms actually had a time at a bar where we spent the entire time trying to dissect what the song Poncho and Lefty by Townes Van Zandt was about. And I think we got there.
What did you land on?
Um, it could
Do you
take a
remember?
while. I mean, long story short, he sells them out,
Yeah.
But no, there's a lot more to it, I mean, we were kind of going by what we'd heard from his interviews.
Man, to be a fly on the wall for that combo.
It was fun. It was fun going through it. There's definitely it's kind of like analyzing a Bob Dylan song or anything, where you just kind of go a few different directions or many different directions on it.
Yeah.
But I really love that song. That one always seemed to me like to be a beautiful use of language and a really, kind of tight and economical use of really descriptive things. It's like, when I'm a parent, so I read my kids like a great book, like a kid's book, like Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Sendak. And it's like,
Yeah.
you're on page like 4. It's like basically like I think that like he's in the land of the wild things by like the 6th line, he's already there. Like, like that's like how like it's only like a 14-page book with like, it's like 20 sentences long, this book, but it tells like this insanely long and complicated story of the wild things, but with using language so efficiently and swiftly that just like moves you through these crazy things. And it seems like an epic journey, even though it was like you could read all the lines in like 2 minutes.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay, so if you could interview any musician, live or dead, in the vein of Bothering the Band, so silly, irreverent, dumb, if you will, who would you interview and what would you ask them?
Any interview? Oh, I don't know, because it's like you'd have to find someone kind of like whimsical, right?
Yeah and no. I mean, you could ask someone serious, something silly and practical,
I don't know, like maybe like Arthur Lee from Love. I think it'd be cool. Like, I feel like his why is someone really like out there. I feel like someone who I definitely want to like interview somebody who's taken like a large amount of acid. Maybe Arthur Lee from Love would be good. Maybe a good example of somebody like that.
What would you ask them?
Or Skip Spence from from Or. I mean, yeah, Skip Spence, that would be a great interview. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, because it's like, what do you ask me? You're not really asking me, things that like I'm sure you've always wanted to ask somebody, but just kind of just maybe just have like a little drink or something, and then start shooting the shit.
I mean, all we're doing is using like deflecting humorous questions to get you to talk and tell stories. That's all we're doing.
Yeah, so it's okay.
So some sort of device to get them going and just
But I love
break
that song, the Red Telephone.
Oh yeah, of course.
So amazing, and it's like, I mean, just the landscape of that song and like the way that it like kind of weaves in. I mean, it's such a sculptural song, and it's just like it feels like I mean, it's like it's such a masterpiece. Like, it's like whatever, I don't know. It's kind of funny to think of all the collective decisions and labor and expertise and inspiration and you know just like humanity that goes into like them all coming together to make just like a simple one song like the Red Telephone, which is so epic and has so much like so much so much in like so many ins and outs about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like a living, breathing. It's like almost like the song is itself like a living, breathing organism.
So what's next for Adam Green? Or any version of Adam Green?
Oh, well, the truth is, I mean, I have a lot of projects I want to do. Kind of long. I mean, I think is I've done a lot of. I mean, I'm not gonna get you sad about me, but the truth is, I feel like I make a lot more stuff sometimes than I put out. Or I can put out. Like, and I wrote a book about perfume that I want to come out, and I just kind of figure I'm gonna finish editing it and maybe like make some illustrations with some friends and put it out this book. But it's like one of those things where it's like I don't really know. Like, I finished it for like over a year.
Yeah.
So I need to, stuff like that. I have stuff like that where it's just like, oh, I got to put that out. I recorded a new EP that I want to put out, but then this thing came out. So I was thinking maybe we'll put that out next year, like an EP. I really, really am happy about it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. But then, yeah, like, I mean, I've been writing I've been writing I've been drawing all these gods from my universe, like these sort of gods. Like I have a little pantheon, and I wanted to make a book about the gods of my universe called Regular World. And then I wanted to make like almost like a grimoire that comes with it, so it has kind of spells that you can do to contact those deities.
Oh,
And and also I made an art guide a while ago called, I think it was called Adam Green's 10-step guide to be an artist or something. I don't know if people saw that, but that's a pretty good document because it's like sort of just, it's just kind of trying to, put some lessons out there that I've learned over the years. And I want to make a follow-up to that about making art. I'd love to make like another little essay about making art. And also just, I think just, I really love this kind of like Proust thing where you like write about memory. So I really
yeah.
want to work about memory. And so, I might try to get into writing about memory, because especially if I can finish up the other stuff. I've also been writing The Wrong Ferrari 2, which is a sequel to my first movie, The Wrong Ferrari, which is ridiculous because no one ever asked or wanted the sequel to this. But it's important to me to write it, and so I've been working on that for the last few years. Working on The Wrong Ferrari, I've been working on it every day, honestly. So maybe in like about a year or so, you have like a Wrong Ferrari 2. I don't know, or at least the beginnings of it.
I hope you get an email from someone in like, I don't know, Iowa, being like, man, I'm so happy you made Ferrari 2. I've been waiting for this.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably somebody waiting for it. I mean, it's like, but for me, these are all like, what's to me the most, I just want to make the most interesting stuff that I can think to make. And usually it's has to deal with concepts. Like, I'm sort of a collector of concepts, and I think like, okay, if I can really get these concepts to sing together, like we can really take people, through some kind of like crazy mental and emotional experience, and like, maybe they can start kind of seeing into another dimension is what I hope. So with all my artwork, I'm hoping that I can sort of take people and kind of hypnotize them and bring them into a different dimension.
Man. Well, on that note, Adam, that's our show, man.
Okay, thank you so much for having me on it.
This has been so much fun. We can't thank you enough.
Thanks. Okay, talk later.
All right, see you, dude.
Bye.
There are men in shades just standing around these bleeding stars. The paradox, let the eyes of God be our guide to find a gentle path. There's a broken record playing a tune to the floating waves.